What are some seemingly normal images with disturbing backstories? Story 1. This photo before the Omagh bombing in Northern Ireland. Almost immediately after this photo was taken, a bomb was set off in the red car beside the boy on his dad's shoulders. The father and child survived miraculously, but the photographer and 28 others died, while around 220 were injured. Story 2. This picture taken of David Alexander Johnston 13 hours before the eruption of Mount St. Helens in 1980. His last words were over radio. "Vancouver, Vancouver, this is it!" before going silent and his remains never found. Story 3. This guy took a picture of a bear while in the woods. Shortly after he took that photo, he was by that same bear. Story 4. This picture of Tyler Hadley in his kitchen holding a solo cup during a party is chilling. He had just his parents, and their bodies were in the house while he had this house party. Story 5. Ayano Tokumasu, a person in a red sweater in the background, lost her footing while posing for a picture and fell into Niagara Falls. Story 6. Mark Jackson's basketball card. In the background are the Menendez brothers sitting courtside after killed their parents. Story 7. The pictures of the Dutch girls of Panama. Girls got lost in the jungle and were for days. A few months later, a backpack with the camera and these photos was found. Story 8. The 17-year-old went missing on the morning of February 27th, when he told family members that he planned to hike Haiku Stairs, also known as the Stairway to Heaven. The photo was one of a few photos the teen had texted to family members during his hike, and after extensively studying the pictures, they noticed a man in one of them. The family is now asking for the public's assistance in identifying the man in the photo, hoping he may have more clues that could possibly lead to Pua's location. Story 9. Sadako was a Japanese girl who became a victim of the atomic bombing of Hiroshima when she was 2 years old. She was diagnosed with leukemia at the age of 11 and given no more than a year to live. Sasaki's father, Shigeo, told her the legend of the cranes, and she set herself a goal of folding 1,000 of them, which was believed to grant the folder a wish. Although she had plenty of free time during her days in the hospital, Sasaki lacked paper, so she used medicine wrappings and whatever else she could scrounge, including going to other patients' rooms to ask for the paper from their get-well presents. Her best friend, Chizuko Hamamoto, also brought paper from school for Sasaki to use. A popular version of the story is that Sasaki fell short of her goal of folding 1,000 cranes, having folded only 644 before her death, and that her friends completed the 1,000 and buried them all with her. Story 10. It's the last picture taken of 18-year-old Jolie Callan by her ex-boyfriend before he shot her twice in the head and pushed her body off the cliff. Story 11. Two brothers pose for a photo in Sequoia National Park moments before getting struck by lightning in August 1975. Story 12. This picture of Russian ambassador to Turkey Andrei Karlov standing in an art gallery about to do a conference. Behind him is Mevlut Mert Altintas, the man who is about to assassinate him. Story 13. The photo of the Uruguay rugby team in the plane before takeoff. If you weren't forced to be traumatized reading this in high school, in 1972 a plane holding a rugby team and their family crashed in the Andes Mountains and they were stuck there for months, forced to eat their family members, and other horrific things. They were also called monsters for doing what they could to survive after, some, returned to civilization. Story 14. This image of a man standing shirtless behind the fence in a summer afternoon light, looking like something out of a family album of sorts. This image is in recreation of the Time magazine cover from 1992, where the same man, Fikret Alik, was photographed in the same place as an emaciated prisoner of Tripolj concentration camp during Bosnian War of 1992-95. He survived. The building behind him is now a community center, without any plaques or memorials to the victims of one of the most notorious concentration camps in Bosnia. Story 15. Dutch teenager Gary Slock and his mother, Petra Langeveld, took this selfie and posted it on Facebook moments before Malaysia Airlines flight MH17 took off in July 2014. A few hours later, the plane was shot down by Russians, killing all 298 people on board. Story 16. This photo of what looks like a few people in jumpsuits walking out of a building. In actuality, it's the last moment the crew of Challenger was photographed, a few hours before their launch. Their shuttle exploded just a minute after launch, but they didn't die then. Evidence indicates they died a few minutes later when the capsule hit the ocean. Story 17. This picture of the front of a car with two people in the front seats and you can see someone's hair in the background. This is actually the last picture of Princess Diana's bodyguard and chauffeur before the famous crash happened in the Alma Tunnel. Dodi and Diana, who were in the back seat, did not survive the crash. Henri Paul, the driver, died on impact. Her bodyguard Trevor Rees-Jones required reconstructive surgery to his face. Story 18. This photo is of Issei Sagawa, an actual cannibal from Japan. This photo was taken for a Japanese magazine after he was released from prison due to insanity. He was frequently on talk shows, reviewed restaurants for magazines, and even appeared in horror films. He wrote a book on his murder of Renee Hartevelt, and you can read in explicit detail about how his mind conflated eating her to a romantic act. Note, it is not for the faint of heart, it will not leave you. Story 19. The man dressed as Santa Claus in the picture is Bruce MacArthur. He was a landscaper for most of the year, and worked as the Agincourt Mall Santa during the holiday season. Between 2010 to 2017 he would lure men to meet up via a dating app, murder them, and spread their remains among planters' boxes at properties he managed. He was found guilty of 8 counts of first-degree murder, and is serving life in prison. Story 20. So, here is a man and a woman in the 1970s on a game show called The Dating Game. The smiling guy just won a date with the woman in the photo. That guy is serial killer Rodney Alcala. Story 21. The start of the 1994 San Marino Grand Prix is one that I still struggle to look at. Car number 2, driven by 3-time world champion Ayrton Senna, would crash on lap 6, killing him, while in the background, you can see the stalled blue, white and green car of J.J. Leto. He would be hit by another car, sending debris into the crowd that injured 9 people. The previous day, Austrian Roland Ratzenberger had been killed in a crash, and Brazilian Rubens Barrichello was lucky to live in another accident. A seriously messed up race. Story 22. The top photo looks like a cop chillin'. It is a fake cop who, when photo taken, just got arrested after killing 77 people, among them approximate 60 kids/teenagers, and injuring around 250 people. He set off a bomb in the city that killed 8 people and then went out to an island where a youth camp was held. He just started shooting. They were trapped on the island and had to swim to get off. Kids who didn't know who was shooting came to him for safety because he was dressed as a cop, and then he shot them.